Welcome to episode number 55 of Hoop Talk Fanatics. I am here with my co-host, Chris Kern, and we are so excited to be back doing NBA content. And this is the opening episode of the season, and we will be doing predictions and uh, of of the teams that think that will do best and have time to do our own awards. So I'm really happy to be back.
Let's go. I'm so glad NBA is back. It's already been exciting for a few days.
Yeah.
Both of our teams playing some crazy games. The primetime games have been fantastic, honestly.
Hmm.
Both doubleheaders on ESPN and TNT. Those games are awesome, and we should have some more games the rest of the weekend and next week that are awesome. And it's the end season tournament starts in like a week too, so that's gonna be interesting to see
Yeah.
how those games are played out.
I'm really interested to see how the Atlantic Division goes.
That's gonna be really interesting. I don't because it's I mean I definitely Boston at the top, but then it's like there's the Knicks. Do we think they like? Because I think they're a really good team, but I don't know if they're really. A lot of
Hmm.
people just think that they can take the next step. Like the next step for them would be to become a contender in the East, because like they're about as close as you can be without being one, I'd say. But just for me, I don't know if they have the pieces for that.
Hmm.
But they're in a good spot. They got a lot better last season, and if they play that well again this season, it gives them a chance to make a move later on. But
Hmm.
Jalen Brunson grew a ton last year. Julius Randle was really good again for them. But then another team I'm really interested in seeing is I'm really looking at the Raptors to see how they perform as well. They got a win in their first game. I didn't get to watch it, but they won by a couple points against I can't remember who it was against, but they got their head coach is an assistant from the Grizzlies, so I'm very interested to see how they do
Oh,
this season.
they played Minnesota.
Minnesota, I knew it was a
Yeah.
decent opponent. Yeah, Minnesota's another. We'll get into Western Conference later.
Hmm.
We have a lot of thoughts on Minnesota. They're
Yeah.
kind of a polarizing team, and looking for predictions from other people. But yeah, I'm definitely looking for at the Raptors, see how they do, and the Raptors have pieces. Those guys are always in trade talks every year. Like all those guys, Siakam, OG, but they have a little bit different roster than they'd have the past couple, losing Fred VanVleet to Houston, but they still have some good pieces and I think some good young talent. So we'll see kind of how that rotation shakes out.
They play my Sixers tomorrow.
That's those are always fun matchups. Yeah, you have Nick Nurse on your side this time,
Yeah.
and when he was the Raptors coach, he gave so many creative strategy. He was the guy when you
Hmm.
not even like they had some games where they locked up and beat, but like he was the guy who just got so creative and he did some unique stuff. There would be some lineups like against he would play like four bigs at a time. Like they had
Hmm.
athletic bigs like that, so they could get by with doing that. And like they would do a lot of different things over the years. And I'm sure Nick Nurse is going to be able to get very creative in how he uses Embiid now. And I know he's looking forward to that.
I was really impressive of the way Tyrese Maxey played last night against Milwaukee.
He was awesome. I only got to watch a little bit of highlights, but the box score is great. And one thing that I didn't personally can test with, but I've seen people discussing, you could probably test with some of the playmaking he did in the fourth quarter
Hmm.
is something that I saw a lot of people discussing, which I think is a big need for them because yeah, we know he can score. He can score. If they need 30 a night, he can get that most nights probably, honestly. But the thing that I'm not sure he can replace from Harden is the playmaking and being able to get the ball to Embiid in spots where he can succeed, but also get the ball to like just facilitate for the whole team. And I think they're
Hmm.
going to need that out of him. They have a couple different guys like you can play out of Embiid in the post or something like that.
Yeah.
You have different other guys who can handle the ball, but Maxi's got to be that most
PJ Tuck,
initial guy.
PJ
PJ Tucker's a
Tucker,
guy you could definitely trust.
Danny Green.
Danny Green, like they have a lot of guys, but
Yeah.
like you want your star guard to kind of be the guy
Hmm.
orchestrating things, and he did a great job of it last night. I definitely did, but well, that'll be something to follow, kind of in some tough games, especially how does he perform with that down the stretch. And
Hmm.
I definitely wasn't bad. I did. You were probably furious at this. I saw it all over social media. It was the big when Giannis airballed the shot over the rim
Oh
and got
yeah.
the board kick out. That was a tough one. But like it's early. Like, yeah, that made a big difference, but it's you can't get too mad over wins and losses at this point.
Yeah.
Just be happy you played well on the road against a really good team, and Damian Lillard was fantastic for the Bucks. So
Hmm.
it was that duo was going to be really something, and they have the role players around those two to really make it work. And Chris Middleton, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of fits into the mold. He didn't play much last night, come back from injuries, but I'm excited to see how those guys fit as well.
Hmm. I see the Bucks play Atlanta on the 29th.
That'll be an interesting matchup. The Hawks lost a tough one, I believe it was to the Pistons. That has been. I'm already forgetting. I'm trying to. I'm just. I'm pretty sure the Hawks lost a tough one in the first game. Um, a little bit. A lot of teams were kind of inefficient in their openers, which is expected. You have a lot of
Hmm.
shooting rust for your first game of the season, so like it's not that big of a deal. But looking that game, he had a chance against the Hawks. See how kind of they bounce back. And Trae Young's a dynamic player. He can really score the basketball. And they have some other pieces that I think can do well, but they kind of struggled offensively last game. And I think the Bucks have the pieces to kind of really push the tempo, kind of make it tough on them on both sides of the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys fit. One dynamic we saw that I'm really looking forward to seeing from a game by game basis is kind of the Bucks offense late in games, especially close games. Like against the Sixers, there was a lot of Damian Lillard we saw.
Hmm.
I think he had 38 or 39 points, something like that. But maybe the next game, this is going to be like it's a Giannis matchup. Like it's probably going to be back and forth. And eventually, when Chris Middleton gets healthy, we've seen what he can do in some big moments. He's gotten a little bit older and he's had some injuries, so I don't know if we can expect him to be what he was like in the finals run a couple years
Hmm.
back. But if he can, I think he's still very capable and able to really make some big plays for this team. But when he gets really rolling, I'm excited to see how that offense lane games look because that's a problem. Because 2 years ago when Chris Middleton had the ball in that finals run, like he was a guy making big shots instead of Giannis a lot of
Yeah.
nights, which is crazy to think about. Like Giannis isn't a big shooter, so like there's some mix and match. But having
Hmm.
Middleton, a healthy Chris Middleton with Dame and Giannis is gonna be tough for teams to stop. I mean, guarding Dame and Giannis
Hmm.
seems like an impossible task a lot of nights, but if you add that third guy into the mix, it's gonna be interesting.
What what were your thoughts on PJ Tucker defending Giannis?
He always does about as good of a job as I think anybody can.
Yeah.
Um, he's just a guy you trust. He's always going to be in the right spot. He's about as tough as he can be for his size. I mean, Giannis has a few inches, so he's gonna be able to do that. But at the end of the day, like kept him in check. But Giannis doesn't have to force the issue as much with
Hmm.
Damian Lillard. Like you would have seen a little bit more. I believe. Who did they? Would they have started? They probably started with Melton on Damian Lillard, correct?
Yeah, they
I
did.
know. I know. Oubre closed the game, so he guarded a lot late. I mean,
Hmm.
he did a fine job. I thought from clips I saw. It's just Damian
Yeah.
Lillard's gonna make. He's gonna make tough shots, and it's just like, and you force a couple of misses to have a chance
Yeah.
to win the game, and I think they did. That just you lose a couple by one point. It is what it is,
And
but it's
then Embiid had so much careless mistakes.
to be did. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Was it like turn? Oh, I saw a couple turnovers that were just not
Yeah.
like he's a guy who'll make a couple. Like sometimes he'll take some bad shots, but it's like he's a superstar player. Like he can make them still.
Yeah.
You try not to get too mad at shots, but like I saw one. The one that I saw was he had the ball on the right wing, I know. He tried a quick swing, but he just
Hmm.
didn't look beforehand, so it was an easy steal and I think a bucket. I don't remember how that ended, but just little things like that. Like, I mean, eventually when he gets it, he'll. I don't know. I don't know who he's passing to. You got a couple new guards on the team, so like you don't know exactly how each other play with each other. Like training camp, preseason,
Hmm.
that's it's fun. You get a little bit of rhythm, but it's not regular season basketball, and just getting more of a feel with your teammates will really help him beat out. But I think there's a lot of positives for the Sixers to take away. Kelly Oubre with 27 off the bench, I believe it was 27. That's a big storyline for them because obviously he's not going to score 27 every night. But if he can be a reliable bench scorer, I think that's a big need for them, honestly, on this roster.
Hmm.
They need a wing scorer. Tobias Harris is up and down. Like he's a good player though, but having that other guy, a bench score is a big need for them. And they signed Kelly Oubre pretty late in the process. I like it wasn't normal free agency. It was well later. So being able to get him and have him make a big impact, and they relied on him for heavy minutes. Even like he made shots, but like they were counting on him and he delivered. So that's gonna be really interesting to see kind of how he progresses in his role as the
Hmm.
season goes. But he was really good, and I still that's it's a really good roster for opening night, and we'll see how it looks later in the season. But all in all, I think he has a lot to be impressed about. I don't think there's too many concerns, at least from my outside looking in. I don't know if there's anything notable to you, but I think their pieces they did what they're supposed to for the most part. I thought.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, it's kind of hard to like uh come together and like talk about like how good they are. I guess we'll have to see in the next week or two and see how they really uh play against uh their opponents. But I think that they're in a good position without Harden. I was actually on Twitter last night, and one of the Sixers beat writers said that if Maxey plays the way he did last night, the Sixers don't need Harden.
That's very true. Like that's the hard situation. Like it's just not gonna be fun until it's resolved until he's gone. Honestly, like
Yeah.
it's gonna be talked about. It's gonna be annoying for the players, and I mean it's just a tough situation. We don't got to get too much into it, but like I agree though is the point. I agree with that. I don't they don't need it. They don't need him, and all honestly, they won't get much in return for him in any trade. So like it's gonna be just whatever trade package they get is gonna be disappointing. So just but
Hmm.
Tyrese Max, I expect a big jump for him. We'll get a little bit more. I'll get a little bit more into that later in the show, possibly when we
Hmm.
get to our predictions. But I just think that I think he's got capabilities, and I think he could get it in the Eastern Conference. And I think he's a perfect complement with Joel Embiid. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is championship. So people will be like, can he be the number two on the title team? I don't think you can't worry about that right now. You just maximize what he can do with Embiid right now, and that's a really good basketball team that wins 50 plus games and can compete to finish among the top teams in Eastern Conference.
I know that we spent a good amount of time on the east side of the NBA. So moving on to the west side, what are your takeaways of how things will go down this season?
So yeah, the big storyline is we've seen most of the top teams play on prime time already. You
Hmm.
think of the Nuggets Lakers game one, went about as you would expect. The Nuggets just seemed like the better team, and they played like it. And some of the faults we've seen with the Lakers, Anthony Davis struggled. He had zero in the second half. We've seen that before, and they lost a tough game. But then we saw them bounce back and beat the Suns, but a Suns team without Beal and Booker. So like it's hard to gauge exactly how that looked for them. But then also go back to opening night. The Suns beat the Warriors
Hmm.
on the road. They won. Yeah, they won that game, didn't they? Or am I mistaken? They
Uh,
won. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
I think they did.
I
Yeah.
think Booker made some big plays because Booker played the first game. He didn't play Thursday against the Lakers. But like that's you got when you think of the teams in the West, it's those teams. Denver and Phoenix are probably the top two in my opinion. I don't they're without a doubt the top two in my opinion. I think the Lakers are close as the third team, and then most people would have the Warriors in that next mix. It's so the West is loaded. Like when you think of traditional contenders, it's those four. But then there's so many teams. The Grizzlies, who know, like they got a lot of issues right now. A lot of
Hmm.
players injured, jaw suspension. They have a lot to figure out with them. The Sacramento Kings, their team did a lot good last season. We'll see how they got the Warriors to Friday night. Um, see how that game. We're recording this before that game, so let's see how that game turned out. But that could just give a little bit of a point where they're at. But I think the Kings can be really good. I don't know about
Hmm.
contention, but I think there's a couple positional flaws, matchup things, playoff wise. But I think they're going to be a really good basketball team. But then we got a couple teams who a lot of people expect to make jumps. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I would say the Oklahoma City Thunder
Hmm.
are two teams. You teams really expect to get a lot better. I don't know how much higher you finish in the standings though, because like when you talk about getting better, it's like the teams were the eighth seed last year, so they should move up a couple. I'm just like, there's not spots to move up with how good the West is, and we
Hmm.
also want to shout out the Clippers as well. They have a lot of good things, and I think they're kind of in between the top teams and the young developing teams. I don't know where to put them, honestly. With all the you can't trust them with the injuries, but if they're healthy, they're in the top core contenders, I'd say. Kind of with the Lakers and Warriors in a 4 or 5 maybe. But the Timberwolves, they just a lot of people joke about the Gobert trade. He makes them. They're a lot better with him on the floor. And
Hmm.
Towns Gobert fit's interesting, but at the end of the day, they haven't been healthy together. And with those two healthy playing well, and if Anthony Edwards makes the leap people expect him to, like that's a really good basketball team because they have good role players around those guys. So I think they can be a lot better. I think they're a playoff team. But then the one team that I'm really interested in is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shea
Hmm.
Gilgeous-Alexander, how good can he be? He's all NBA guy, can be all NBA first team, all star starter. Like he can be that guy, top 10 player in the league if he performs. And they have a lot of good players around them. Lou Dort,
Hmm.
Josh Giddey. How does Chet Holmgren look in his rookie year? They did some good. They kind of handled Chicago. Got back
Yeah.
to the East. Chicago, a lot of turmoil there. That's a team I think will blow it up at some point for the deadline. But just OKC looks really good, and like I think those. I think
What do you
when you think
think?
of West playoffs at those teams, but yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
I know Shake Milton is in the mix with Minnesota. What do you think about his production of with the Timberwolves offensively?
definitely no. Like they having extra depth at the guard spot is very important. I would need to check the box score. I don't know if you can pull up real quick to see if he played much in the opener. Because the key guys, you got Conley and Edwards. Um, the backup guard, they should still have Jordan McLaughlin. Oh, I don't even know if that's who announced it, but Jordan there in the backup guard spot, and then just McDaniel's on the wing to go with
Hmm.
Gobert and Towns. You got Kyle Anderson. Like they have their core guys with veterans, and Milton's probably a guy who won't play every night if I had to imagine. But having a veteran guy like that who's produced in some big moments for the Sixers, he was kind of up and down for them, but he produced in some big spots when they really needed it with all the turmoil they've had kind of over the years with Harden. I don't know. Would he have been there when the Simmons stuff was going on? He may have been there then too, kind of producing a little bit around that
Hmm.
time frame. But he stepped up and he had some big when they really needed some scoring some nights. He really produced for them. So whether he plays consistently for Minnesota or not, having a guy like that you can count on when because it's a long season. Edwards isn't going to play 82 games. Conley's getting older. He's not going to play 82. He probably maybe play 70. Like there's just those guys aren't going to play every night. It's
Hmm.
it's just not realistic in NBA anymore. So having a guy like Milton you can rely on, and maybe if the season goes well, you can count on him to get minutes in playoffs too. So I definitely think he's a guy who really adds depth to that roster and is going to help them out a lot.
I think Jaden McDaniels is another good
Really good.
addition for them. Yeah.
He's really good. That was a big time move keeping him. That contract they re-signed him to, keeping him long term. A
Hmm.
lot of people be like, "Oh, they overpaid him." That's a great contract for us, a defensive wing who's capable offensively and kind of fill in. That's just what really good young players who are versatile get paid nowadays. People see those big contracts and they kind of freak out because they were just like, "Oh, why is this guy who's maybe he may have averaged like 10, 12 points a game last season." People like just random players getting paid, but if you
Hmm.
watch a Timberwolves game, you see what everything that McDaniels does on the floor, especially on the defensive end. It's pretty apparent how important he is to that team, especially with because they have Gobert's dominant inside, but the Towns Gobert fit isn't great. So having an elite defensive wing is really valuable for that
Hmm.
roster, and it works out perfectly for them, I think.
Yeah, just looking at Minnesota's upcoming schedule, they have Miami at home, and then at Atlanta, and then Denver at home.
No, it's not too bad still. They'll be tested. We're looking forward to that Denver matchup. I really like that playoff series they had. I think it went 5 games, but they were competitive. It may have went 6. It was competitive and fun though. So look
Hmm.
forward to that rematch. I thought the Gobert Towns pairing worked in that series, honestly. It's just Denver was so good. They were just a fantastic basketball team. They weren't losing to anybody. But I
Hmm.
think I think the Gobert Towns pairing is something that can give Gobert and Jokic fits and kind of make it tough on them. So I'm really interested to see how that specific matchup works. As Gobert's a guy, he's got to find a way to defend the best bigs in the league, and I think he's done it consistently. But that's a matchup he has to win for this team to be successful against the
Hmm.
elite teams.
What do you think about the Clippers and Utah?
But it's really interesting because Utah was close to the play-in last year. They tanked. They would have made the play-in, but they tanked. They
Hmm.
straight up tanked, miss it on purpose. Which I don't. It's teams do it now, so I don't really have an issue with it. But they have a lot of decent players. Lauri Markkanen makes them a lot better, but the ceiling is not like crazy or
Hmm.
anything. They have a lot of talent. They're going to be decent, but in the Western Conference, it's not a playoff team. Even I don't think it's not a contender. But they have a lot of fun players, and I think at some point they're going to be able to trade them, get some assets back for the long term future. But I think Utah's in a good spot. They'll be decent this year, but
Hmm.
decent in the West might be 13th or 14th in that conference with how good it is. So like record wise, it's not going to look good, but like they have pieces. They should be fun. But the Clippers were fantastic in their opener. I think it was against Portland, and just that their core Westbrook, PG, Kawhi, they were fantastic together. And I don't know if they would played any games together last season. But I know there was so many injuries. They may not have played any games together last season, honestly. A couple maybe, but seeing
Hmm.
them together, it was awesome. Like if those three are healthy in a playoff series, like they can compete against anybody. But at the end of the day, like I I'm not gonna talk like that anymore because it's been 3, 4, I don't even know how many, like 4 or 5 years,
Hmm.
and it just hasn't happened for them. So like I'm just gonna assume that they're not gonna be healthy come playoff time, honestly. And I feel like that's fair assessment compared to what we've seen the past couple years. But what we can talk about is when they're on the floor, they are dominant. They're not the same. PG and Kawhi, they're really good players. They're also caliber players, but I wouldn't say they're like top 5, top 10 in the league like they were. And their prime Kawhi was he was right up there with Braun, KD. And I think Paul George was kind of right. He was top 5-ish fringe when he was his best year, probably late Indiana and OKC years. He was really good. But it's just if those two guys stay healthy and Westbrook's a great fit, I have no issue there. Like
Hmm.
if those three are healthy, they have some decent role players. Norman Powell, Robert Covington look better. They were in a weird spot rotation wise last year, so they're kind of tinkering with it, figuring things out. But it all comes down to health for the Clippers.
Hmm.
We've said it for years. Already talked about it, but we'll keep saying it. I think they're going to give it one. It looks like they're giving it one more run this year. But like if they're not healthy these playoffs, I think it's time to call it. I don't know. They were in a weird spot because now contract extensions have to be made for those two, and it's like, can you really invest? I don't even know what the contracts would be. You have to pull them up. I think both of them getting extended would be like $500 million probably. But there's
Hmm.
different years they could do like smaller deals, whatever. But it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out for them because there's a lot of money decisions to be made. They have the new arena coming, so they definitely don't want to be in a spot where they do trade off guys and kind of be in a rebuild mode because there's a lot of momentum growing for the Clippers as a franchise, even more than on the court. They have like the fan base and just the new arena is going to be awesome. There's a lot of cool things about it, and I'm really excited for that. But they want to have a good basketball product when that opens. So, and it all comes down to health this season and how good the Clippers are could really play a big part of how the Western Conference standings shake up because it's going to be fun though. We'll see how
Hmm.
those guys hold up. And the most important thing is healthy for the playoffs. So if they are the 6th or 17th, who cares? If those, I'll just say, I mean, if those three, but specifically PG and Kawhi, if those two are healthy in the playoffs, nobody wants to see them, quite honestly. We only got one game of Kawhi in playoffs last year, but against the Suns, he was sensational. He dominated that game. Westbrook made big plays defensively down the stretch against Booker, and they won that game in Phoenix. And Westbrook, and then Kawhi was done for the series, and that sucked. Just as a basketball fan, that series was going to be epic. The games were still
Hmm.
fun, but I believe the Suns won the next four. So at the end of the day, it's health, and we'll see. It's yeah, it's hopefully next episode, whenever that is, we're not talking about Kawhi is already injured, which I'm half expecting to be the case, but hopefully not. So we'll
Hmm.
see.
Before we move on to our award predictions, I just wanted to give you time to talk about your Grizzlies.
Yeah, so I don't know if you got to watch any of the openers. Really, it was just weird basketball. I should have pulled up the stats beforehand, but the Grizzlies are like 7-22 in season openers all time. Like it's awful.
Hmm.
They won three straight, but before that they lost like 14 in a row or something crazy. I hadn't seen the stats before this season actually. I was watching pregame and I was just like, oh my gosh, they lose basically every opener.
Hmm.
So it's so I'm just so I tried to keep that in my mind, especially with they lost Steven Adams a couple days ago and the jaw suspension. The jaw suspension, like without jaw, fine's not the right word, but I think they can manage pretty easily. But Steven Adams was a big part of that. And Marcus Smart is definitely an upgrade over Tyus Jones,
Hmm.
especially for the playoffs, and that's what matters. But for the regular season a standpoint, Tyus Jones was just so big in those games in the regular season when we didn't have jaw. We saw in some of the playoff series, it's like there wasn't really a role for Tyus Jones, which is why we made the trade, obviously. But in the regular season, having the Tyus Jones just as a reliable guy really helped in the non-jaw game. They had the bench unit, but obviously it's in the playoffs. Jaw's gonna play 40, so it's like you got to make the moves to help with that. But yeah, just the first half of that game, they got behind pretty big. Like they started okay, but they just shot so many threes, so
Hmm.
many 3 pointers. They were just settling for threes. They had a lot of good looks, a lot of wide open looks. Like Jaren Jackson missed 5 wide open ones. Luke Kennard missed 5 open ones. I think 4 of those were classified as wide open. But like they were just meant for wide open shots and shoot like they didn't shoot as many threes in the second half, which is what I'm going to talk. Like they got into a little bit more. Desmond Bain attacked the rim. They didn't get Jaren Jackson many looks inside. I was really disappointed in that. A lot of that's on him. He's got to be more assertive himself and like demand that rock when he has an advantage. But they just didn't do that. And some of the role players they just kind of figuring things out. Derrick Rose is up and down, missed a couple shots, but like at the end of the day, like if you're missing open shots, like it sucks. But like it's people have off night shooting, so it's like it's a long season for that, but they also missed a lot of shots around the rim. That was really disappointing. Bain missed a few layups, not like wide open, but like layup that you normally make. Tillman missed a couple bunnies. They all missed a couple bunnies. Defensively, they were really good for the most part. Left open a few open shooters a little bit more than I would like, but defensively against Zion, they were really good. Darren Jackson was great. Um, Zion posted him once, but like Jaren won. Jaren won
Hmm.
that matchup for the defending inside. on the night. Jalen didn't defend him. It was Tillman on Zion, and then Jalen was coming over. I think he had 5 blocks. Like that, they defensively they were great. Rebounding was an issue, but like when you look to box score, they got rebounded by 15, which was expected. They're not going to be a great rebounding team, but I think also it was so much of it was the Grizzlies were missing threes on the other end, and that's more rebound opportunity for the Timberwolves. Oh, sorry, the Pelicans. Um, but the Grizzlies only had 2 fast break points, and a team that's not good half court offense and doesn't have a lot of bigs. You got to play fast. But not as necessarily fast. You got to be able to score some easy basket, and they had two points in transition. I don't remember what the play was, like 2 fast break points. Like you luck into 2. Like you should luck into 4 or 6 fast break points almost even. Like there's got to be a way to create more, especially with a team that can defend like this. The blocks, the steals, like you can get hands on balls. Like there's got to be more easy baskets. Like every single basket offensively was difficult. Like just the offense was stagnant and like it's expected, but they just weren't comfortable. And it's going to be interesting without having a point guard on the team because I want to say Marcus Smart's a point guard. Derrick Rose is a point guard, but like he's back up. Like there's not a point guard in the starting unit, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they kind of fit and mix together. But overall, not concerned. You don't want to start 0-2, but at the end of the day, it's a long season. So the Nuggets, you lose the Nuggets here. We're recording this right before that game, but just do some good things. I'm more interested on the defensive end. See how they defend Jokic. See how they defend Jamal Murray. How does that look out for them? Jaren Jackson and like Marcus Smart was brought here for this, like games like this. Like you got Jaren helping on Jokic to help take away the paint, and you got Marcus Smart like on Jamal Murray. Like these are what these two are here for. Like when you have the last 2 defensive players you got on team, like you got to be able to perform on that end in a game like this. And actually, like you don't want to start 0-2 at home, and like you have 2 defensive players a year. It's time for them to show up, but you got to get done on the offensive end as well because no matter how good a defense you're playing, if you can't score, it is tough to keep it going. When you're missing wide open shots, it's just frustrating. Frustrates the players, frustrates the fans inside the arena, and it's tough to keep the energy up for 48 minutes when you're not making shots you normally do. So I'm really interested to see how that kind of looks tonight, but I just want to see them play good basketball. Hopefully they win, but good basketball. See Marcus Smart and Jaren Jackson really make an impact on that defensive end of the floor. But I will say Saturday night, it's the second night of a back-to-back. So they got the Wizards, and the Wizards were atrocious defensively against the Pacers. Like it was, I think it was the Pacers, but it was awful defensively, and the Pacers did everything they wanted. So hopefully, worst case scenario, the Grizzlies lose tonight. They're able to use that game, even on the second night of back-to-back, to get some sort of offensive rhythm going because they really need that. Get some offensive confidence and see what happens. Close to the week of season, so I'm just excited to see basketball's back. But Jaren Jackson, Marcus Smart, I'm really looking at those two to really dominate this game.
So let's now transition to our predictions for awards. I will go first with my predictions, and then you can go, Chris.
Sweet.
Okay, so for my MVP, I'm going to pick Giannis Antetokounmpo. For my rookie of the year, I am going to pick Victor Wembanyama. For my most improved player, I'm going to pick Tyrese Maxey. Coach Joe Mazzulla. Sixth man, Emmanuel Quickly. Defensive player of the year, Bam Adebayo. And for my Eastern Conference final, I have Bucks, Celtics. And for West, I have Nuggets, Suns. And in the finals, I have Bucks in 6 against Denver.
Nice, nice. I like it. Yeah, I'll just kind of go through mine, then we can kind of go back and kind of talk through them one by one a little bit.
Hmm.
So I have my MVP. I have Jason Tatum as MVP. Rookie of the year, I have Victor Wembanyama, but I do want to shout out Chet. That's gonna be interesting. Most improved, I have the same guy, Tyrese Maxey. I think he's primed. I talked about it already a little bit when we talked Sixers, but Tyrese Maxey. Coach of the year, I have Taylor Jenkins. Um, I just trust the Grizzlies system a little bit, and we'll see how that season goes. But I'll get into that a little bit more. Sixth man of the year. I went back and forth on this. Originally, I had Malik Monk, but I
Hmm.
think I want to go. Now I'm already second guessing myself as I say it. Now I'm going to stick with Malik Monk, and I'll talk about who else I wanted to pick in a minute and why I didn't. Um,
Hmm.
Defensive player of the year, I have Evan Mobley. I don't think he's going to be the best defender, but so much of that award's like narrative based, and I think that's going to go his way. But he's also fantastic. Um, and then in the Western Conference Finals, I have Nuggets and Suns, and then the Eastern Conference Finals, I have Bucks and Sixers actually. And then in the NBA Finals, I have Bucks over the Suns, 7. I think the Bucks get it done.
Hmm.
So yeah, we can just kind of go through, I'd say one by one. So MVP, who did you have again?
I had Giannis.
Giannis, I could definitely see it. I think it's he got a great chance. I'm just interested how the dynamic between him and Dame is. Are
Hmm.
they both going to be so good that neither of them can win MVP? Is my only concern there, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, what
Um, what do you think about my coach of the year pick?
coach of the year, Joe? I think they definitely can do it. I'm just a little worried about. I mean, he's going to be one of the top candidates, but he did it last year. Who won coach of the year last year? Do you know off the top of your head? I don't remember.
Was it Michael Malone?
Oh, it was Mike Brown, I think.
Oh.
Mike Brown, I believe. He was who I would have picked at least because the Kings were fantastic. But Maduro definitely could. I was surprised he didn't get more consideration last year. I mean, the Celtics have such high expectations, but I mean, he's definitely got a good chance because the Celtics will be fantastic. Um, I picked Jenkins for. There's a couple guys. OKC's coach, um, Mark. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to try. I'm not just going to guess. Um, I would have to look up pronunciation guide. I'm just going to butcher it, so I'll just say Mark of OKC. He's got a really good chance. I like Chris Finch in Minnesota. If either of those two teams make a jump into like the top 4 or 5 in the West, I think they have a great chance. The reason I picked Taylor Jenkins is I think the Grizzlies stay afloat,
Hmm.
maybe a little over 500 without Ja, and then when they get him back, they kind of roll and finish like fourth in the West. That's my reasoning. We'll see if that actually holds up. We'll see how these next couple weeks go without Ja. Um, Losing Steven Adams hurts a lot too, but I'm just gonna stick with it. I just think most of the top teams they have coaches who those teams are expected to do well, and I think the Grizzlies are a little bit under the radar. But I think they have the system in place to still be a really good basketball team, and I think Taylor Jenkins would get a lot of credit for that. Um, we both had Victor Rookie of the Year. I think Chet's going to have a really good season, but I just don't think he's going to have the numbers in OKC personally. But I think he's going
Hmm.
to be fantastic. And then yeah, most improved. We both had Tyrese Maxey. We talked about it already. We could talk about it again for a little bit, but just he's gonna have a big season, especially with the Harden stuff. Maybe Harden coming back and play a little bit. I don't think it'll mess him up at all. I think Tyrese Maxey's he's gonna win this award.
Hmm.
It's probably the pick I'm most confident in, if we're being honest. I think he's got it. I actually bet on it actually in a parlay. I'm very confident. I'm not as confident in my other picks, but I
Hmm.
think Tyrese Maxey's winning that award. I think Anthony Edwards is a guy that could get it. But I think if he takes that jump into superstardom, if you want to call it, not I don't know, if he takes that next step, he could be it. Mikal Bridges one of the top picks. For me, I think he kind of broke out last season.
Hmm.
Like when he went to Brooklyn, he kind of broke out. So it's like, how much better can he get actually? So like, I didn't think him. So I think Tyrese Maxey's a clear favorite for that one.
Hmm.
And we had six man. You went quick. Did you go quickly?
Uh, 6 man. I went, yeah, quickly.
He's got a really good chance. I think he's a big time scorer for them, and I think he's going to be really good. It's always a scoring guard. I went Malik Monk, Sacramento. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. He was big time in the playoffs. And I think he just kind of built that momentum this season. The one guy I was going to go, I almost went Norman Powell. I think Powell's got a great chance. But I'm interested to see how does Powell. How many games is he actually not going to start? I checked. He didn't start as many games last season I would have expected. But
Mhm.
like, if Paul George gets hurt or Kawhi, are they really? I feel like they should just start Powell then, and we'll see. We'll see how it looks. Maybe they like him in the second unit, but I think Powell's got a great chance in the other guy. And the defensive player of the year, you went Bam. I went Evan Mobley. Bam's got a great chance. He's one of the best defenders in the league. I just went Mobley because just so much of it. It's so much of it is just like they love the next big thing. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. won it, and I think Mobley will take a similar jump. Like he was close to winning it last year, and I think a lot of people are going to see regular season defense is way different than playoff defense. So like defensive players of the year is so much different than the best defender in the league, and we've seen that over the years. Like in the regular season, like winning games, a lot more is predicated on having a dominant defensive big, and like that's so big in the playoffs. But like the best defenders, like on the wing in the playoffs, those guys are so special. So like Drew Holiday, Marcus Smart winning the award as a guard was pretty crazy a couple years ago. So like so many good defenders, but I think Evan Mobley's gotten you got Bam's nasty. Like he's he might be the best defensive player in the league. He's gonna be really good for the Heat, and the Heat are gonna be interesting in the season, but I think he's gonna do really well. And then the Western Conference Finals, we had the same teams in it, but I had Suns beating the Nuggets, and you had Nuggets beating the Suns. Um, that's a series I could see going either way. It's just I think the Suns' depth is good enough right now, and I think they have ways to get better even.
Mhm.
I'm a little iffy on the Bradley Beal fit, but I think Devin Booker and KD are good enough with that core to beat the Denver in that series. But they do have some real concerns, definitely.
So before we close it out, uh, we are doing a new thing where we will be doing the best of the episode. Uh, it'll be only NBA for now, and then once college basketball ramps up, uh, we can do both. Uh, I think each of us should get 3 picks. Um,
Okay.
and I'm not sure how to keep track of like the standings. I was wondering if you have any
Yeah.
ideas.
Like I don't know. We'll talk about it off air. We can just get a few
Hmm.
picks in now, and we'll figure out a way. Um,
Okay, so you can go first.
Sweet. I'll probably do 3 games combined between Saturday and Sunday. I'll probably go look at those games mostly. If there's any games tonight, we can definitely do them. I'm gonna say the Minnesota Tim. Are you? Can you write these down?
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet. I have the Minnesota Timberwolves beating the Miami Heat.
Okay. 1 second. Wolves money line over Heat.
And then I'll do Sixers money line over the Raptors.
Hmm.
And then I will do and then I'm gonna do OKC money line over Denver. That's a Sunday game. The other two were Saturdays.
Okay. And for me, let me pull it up. I'm going to do a three game parlay for tonight. Um, let me just see the slate. I am going to go with Mavericks money line over Brooklyn. Orlando Magic money line over the Trailblazers, and Kings money line over the Warriors.
I like it. I like it. That's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. I dig it. Well, yeah, I think there's so many good games this weekend. Like that's what I love about the NBA. Every night there's big games. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll see. Interesting to see, but yeah, it's
I'll
NBA's
be.
back. It's good stuff.
I can't wait until I'm at Wells Fargo Center on Sunday.
That's gonna be sweet. Who they play
Portland.
Sunday? Portland.
Portland. Yeah.
That's gonna be so sick. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
My my seats are behind the basket in the 200 level,
Nice.
but hopefully I'll be able to see how it's going with that angle of watching.
It's always interesting. I've sat behind this in this up high behind the backboard at some games, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not too bad. Most arenas now, like some people would joke like down front's closer awesome, but like you can see
Mm-hmm.
basically all the action in most arenas. That's that's gonna be awesome. Super glad you were able to go to that game, and I can't wait for
The
it's just
the tickets were cheap.
that's awesome. That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
sporting tickets get expensive, but NBA tickets usually aren't terrible or aren't as terrible. I mean, like when you're playing a big team and
Yeah.
like the Phillies, I'm sure when you got Boston, New York or something, it's expensive. But like
I
it's
think I think next Saturday Phoenix comes to town.
Phoenix was an expensive one because I almost went to Phoenix, Memphis last year, and
Yeah.
that was an expensive ticket, and I'm sure it's even more expensive this year.
Mm-hmm.
And KD and Beal, or yeah, they added KD last year, but when I was gonna go, didn't have him yet.
I'm sure Milwaukee has the feel of postseason tickets.
Oh, that's good. That whole season's gonna be electric for them. They
Yeah.
just yeah, it's gonna be exciting. NBA's back and it's got a lot of action about to get underway too.
Can't wait to see how our bets do, and uh, we'll definitely keep in touch with the next episode of when it's going to be, and uh, we're just so happy that NBA is back as a whole, and um, to the viewers listening to this episode, enjoy the games, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, so a great first episode. Can't so glad NBA's back. Go Grizzlies. Need a big one about to get underway.
Go Sixers. I hope that they win in Nick Nurse's debut back to Toronto.
That's gonna be a fun one. Can't wait for that one.
Yeah.